How we doing today, Crypto Warriors? This is Bitcoin Zay, and this is another tutorial in the KRB Digital Assets Group. This tutorial will be about trading Ethereum pairs. So we've discussed some basic trading tips. We are very active in our Discord. Also, if you have any questions, make sure you send them. Any charts you want us to do for us, let us know. But one of the things I've started to do in this market, because as you can see, Bitcoin is taking a dip, not much movement from any alts. And a lot of the calls that we've had have been a lot of short-term calls, along with long-term holds, simply because we don't want people who are looking at holding a long-term to worry about it day to day. However, for those of you who are day traders, one of the biggest things you want to do is stay ahead of the game, definitely. And one of the biggest markets I think coming up this year will be the Ethereum pairs. And let me tell you what I mean by that. More specifically, if you go to Binance, a lot of people trade only the BTC markets. That's mostly what we show people how to trade. However, moving forward, I do see with the news of Ethereum being #1 in China and also some of the provisions being made, got to use some of the news to help you out. It looks like Ethereum is starting to become a favorite of countries outside of the U.S. Simply as competition, to economies, different stuff. But what you want to do is be in place to actually have that gain. So looking at Ethereum pairs, some of the best ones I look, if you go on Binance, look up Ethereum markets. First things first, 24-hour change. Don't look at green, look at red. I start with the red, and I'm trying to see who's down a lot, because usually that's where you can pick some up from the ground floor. Some of the ones I looked at, I already looked at earlier, but based on how much is trading, WAN is definitely one, DNT. And also, we can look at a couple other ones. Let's see. We'll go back. But looking at the charts, the reason I'm starting to look at, there it is, Nano. The reason I'm starting to look at a lot of Ethereum pairs is the key to most trading or most stuff that you do is to get it as cheap as possible. Because if the cheapest is ever going to go, if you can get it, usually you don't have to stay awake at night wondering about gains and losses. You're usually always in profit. And if you set a tight stop loss, you can just say, hey, I'll get back in another time. So if you look here, looking at the daily charts, we can take a look at 4-hour, just so we can get a little bit more data in there. So Nano, Ethereum, just classic horizontal line charts. This is exactly the bottom of this Nano Ethereum pair. The only thing I would say is at this level, definitely do a tight stop loss, because it could lose, a lot more value going forward. However, I feel confident saying that this is a proverbial bottom for now, right here in that 7.5 range, and that's where we're at now at 7.6. So let's set that there. And honestly, I would be looking to definitely get in here, have a buy signal from W2 Crypt. I wouldn't, bet the house on it, but anything that's at is pretty much lowest level, especially during the time frame. This is over 2 months. Then you definitely want to look at scooping some of that up. Also, let's take a look at Wand Chain. Same thing. It's literally, there are a lot of them sitting right on the floor. And if you want to stay ahead of the game, like I've always said, one of the things you'll have to do is definitely keep up with where the bottom is on a lot of these prices, because if you set an alert and that alert comes up, that's usually a good time to either buy or to watch the market very, very intently to wait for a good chance to jump in on a breakout. So definitely looking to get in there. And I would say first resistance, of course, probably this previous, and anywhere in there at this entry level 72.80. Sats will be pretty good looking from the outside in. Also, risk return. I mean, Jesus Christ, if you look at risk return as intimately as most people do, if you look at the risk return here, I mean, it's almost astronomical, because when you look at the charts, if we go to previous resistance right here, and if you go to the next resistance, which will be about here, reward ratio is somewhere around 5. And usually if my reward ratio is, or risk reward ratio is around 3, it's usually a good chance to buy it. But most of these are somewhere around 5. And this market hasn't been tested as much, so not as much volume. So speaking of volume, DNT, another one. Not much volume. However, if you can look at here, spike, 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 spike. All these spikes in volume on the Ethereum pairs, to me, are long-term indicators that there are buyers getting into the market. Volume is increasing, increasing, increasing. They're accumulating at these levels simply because I think a lot of big name countries or players are going to go towards Ethereum simply as a way to combat Bitcoin. And if you can trade to gain more Ethereum, if Ethereum does in price, what some people are predicting, maybe 10,000 this year, 5,000. I've heard crazy numbers. Not worried about that too much. But when you compare it to the Ethereum pair, it looks like the price of Ethereum is headed down at this resistant level. We'll make sure. Low volume, definite sell signal here going down. That means that the price of Ethereum versus another price will be more. So if Juan has a push, if Nano has a push against Ethereum's price, you'll start seeing those changes. And in my opinion, this is one of the best pairs to trade right now as Bitcoin is going pretty much sideways. Also, if you want to collect as much Ethereum as possible, think about all the Bitcoin maximalists or people that use Bitcoin that were like, I wish I could have got in when it was under, a certain price. Ethereum's looking like that may be the next go. I'm not going to say it'll reach Bitcoin's levels, making it to 20,000 this year. However, I will say a lot of good news from other countries and some of our connections about Ethereum based on their country. So trading pairs with Ethereum is definitely a good time to start if you haven't already. And just want to make sure you stay ahead of the game. So for any questions, for any comments, let us know and be sure to put them in the membership portal and we'll be sure to contact you as soon as possible. Have a good one.